Hello, welcome to Soulprint. It is March 18th. So, I think as most people are aware, whether you watch the Soulprint Intuitive Tarot channel or you watch the Soulprint Insights channel, one of the things that I am able to do is channel messages directly from a higher vibration. And so I thought maybe this would be a good time to see if we could get a bit of a bird's eye view on what the heck is going on. I mean, we have a global pandemic going on, and I think slowly but surely the actual reality of that is starting to set in. And we realize that this is not 14 days, this could be months. This is not, a little inconvenient. This is going to really significantly impact and alter the way vast amounts of people, function and live their lives, do the things they do. And you can't sort of help but wonder if by time this sort of, wraps around and starts diminishing, exactly what kind of a world we're going to be living in. What is it going to look like? Because it's not going to look quite like it looks right now. So I would like to share with you the channeled message that I received. So my question was, Masudius, and for those of you who don't know, Masudius is a soul group of very, very old divine beings that have watched over the planet Earth for ever, truly, for eons and eons and eons. So my question was, Masudius, can you offer some clarity on what and why this pandemic is happening now and to what effect? So the answer was sort of interesting. Here we go. Since you have many capable scientists and doctors who are studying and can explain the cause and effect and step-by-step process that has created the virus and the subsequent spread of it, we will therefore address our answer to the higher vibration cause and effect, reasons, and impact. You have had many civilizations upon the planet you call Earth. But truly, you are now a civilization that has become so separated from Source that an environment of selfish and self-centered responses has become the standard for a vast number of those who inhabit the planet. Which is why, as many of you know and recognize, there are literally millions of light, energy, and angelic workers on the planet in an effort to balance these energies and create a more spirit-centered environment in the hopes of preventing, once again, the destruction of your current civilization. So, Atlantis, Lemuria, they were real, they existed. But everything we know about those civilizations, and I want to say it really feels like those honestly are the last two most recent, okay? But they were actually fairly spiritually evolved. I mean, they had amazing, healing temples, and they used crystals and sunlight and sound within the healing temples. Lemurian, I think, was even more in its own way advanced. And we, in some ways, it feels as if just as a civilization, there has been a real push against or a disregard or a pushing to the side, the understanding that we are spirits in a body. As opposed to we're human beings with bodies, and oh yeah, there might be a spiritual component to us. Okay, so first, look to the almost complete disregard to the health of the planet you call home. Such incredible amounts of destruction for profit or comfort. In the last handful of decades, generally speaking, you have become a one-use and throwaway society. In an attempt to save the forests, which are renewable, you turned to plastic, which does not break down, thereby filling not only your landfills, but the air and the oceans with this substance. Many, many of you are of an age where you absolutely remember paper grocery bags. Paper straws were the norm. You remember when, even takeaway things were done in paper or cardboard. I'm talking about foods. I mean, I have very clear memories of like French fries in little cardboard containers drenched in salt and vinegar. Okay, I digress. But now, there's this abundance of styrofoam everywhere you go. There's this abundance of these plastic clam containers, the ones that you get your danishes and your pastries in, those really filmy things. Those things like don't disintegrate. Like, a million years from now, they're probably still going to be hanging around the planet somewhere. So as we made this transition, because, we went on this thing, 40, 50 years ago about saving the planet, saving the forest. We had to save the forest. The trees were coming down, well, except the trees could be replanted and regrown. But everything converted to petroleum, right? To plastics, to the things that could be made with the oil byproducts. Okay, I move on. The increased pollution that has now had an almost irreversible impact on your earth and water temperature, which are now causing a melting of your ice caps. This in turn releases viruses, airborne particles, diseases from times past, many from before your most recent ice age. You do not have the resistance to these ancient elements, nor the understanding to scientifically combat the current situation of the planet and her environment. I don't know how many of you heard, just like last week or so, they were talking about some sort of a bird, like a dove, that we don't actually have on the planet now, we don't think, although we do think that we have, descendants of this thing, was found somewhere up around the North Pole or Russia. It was 240,000 years old. They found a dog that they thought was dog and wolf combined somehow that was even older than that. As these ice caps melt, stuff that has been like buried, under the ground in that tundra, that stuff is going to start surfacing. Now, they're not saying that this specific virus that is being combated now came from that, but they're just pointing out to the fact that globally, it's a very different sort of just environment than we are used to, and there's going to be a lot of stuff coming at us that we actually really don't have the knowledge or understanding to really push back against, in part because so much of it happened so many thousands and in some cases millions of years ago. Added to that, those who are greedy often become those who are powerful, as the standard has become that the wealthy are those to be emulated, as opposed to those who heal, teach, care for, inspire, discover, and explore, which has created a civilization that as a whole pays incredible amounts of money to those who entertain. Actors, sports figures, musicians, and I fault none of them. Understand, but we have become a society that places far more importance and significance on our entertainment than we do on our health, on our education, on the people who work tirelessly to make the people and the planet a better place. We want to be distracted and we want to be entertained, and so there's a great deal of money that gets paid to that, which of course diminishes the value, if you will, of other talents or skill sets. So I'm going to repeat that, which has created a civilization that as a whole pays tremendous amounts of money to those who entertain instead of those who heal and teach and so on. Those that actually produce and distribute products are considered drones and worker bees. And those that control these organizations or companies and sit behind a desk for the most part are paid hundreds of times their workers' wages. So you can start to understand that a tremendous imbalance or inequity has been created. Imbalance creates dis-ease, which creates uncertainty and fear, which in turn causes people to turn from each other instead of toward. So, here we are in March 2020, and your world is in chaos. Many of you who are part of the Soulprint family and other like-minded groups understand that you are part of the solution. That is why you are here on the earth at this time. That is why you seek and find your tribe. Why you understand on a deep soul level that this time and place is a warning of things to come unless as a whole civilization, you come to understand that you may be separate, but you are together. You are one. You understand that the time has arrived to work towards raising the vibration of the planet by joining with others to raise the vibration of the collective. How is this monumental task accomplished? Well, you start with understanding, compassion, empathy, and ultimately love. It is so much easier to react with fear and anger, with rage and blame, than to just stop for a moment and understand the other side, the perspective of another. Now, do not misunderstand. There are times when healthy anger or frustration is an important component of coming to understand. Oftentimes, these harsher emotions help to define your own moral compass. Healthy anger can help you to understand that there is cruelty and injustice around you, and that can be a part of your call to action. It is when you get stuck in those emotions and they in turn prevent you from moving forward that they then become part of the problem. So understand that, seeing something that just you recognize just instinctively as unjust or cruel, and it angers you or it makes you frustrated, or it creates in you that motivation to do something. It's a call to action. It is a call to not tolerate that which is not correct, right, fair, kind, loving, gentle. Okay, so on the Soulprint Intuitive Tarot channel, many of you come together to understand and join with others who have similar feelings, especially with regard to the current U.S. government and their conduct, behavior, and attitudes. But understand this: it was the very attitude of wealth equals strength, might, and ability that elevated Trump to office. People sleeping through their lives and making simple choices because they liked one message and didn't listen to how that message would be accomplished, or simply because they found someone who made it acceptable to be angry and resentful. Make no mistake, similar scenarios play out in other countries, states, provinces, governments, the world over. You will also come to notice that those government officials who have a more compassionate nature, or those who place humans before profit, have had a much more effective response to the global situation. So let those who hear and those who understand continue on in their quest to help move the planet and her people forward in a way that heals and brings together a more enlightened response. You have one planet upon which you live, and all that was needed to sustain life, the life of people, animals, plants, waters, were given. But remember this: the greatest healer of all time comes from the heart, the soul, and the spirit. And I'm going to share with you something that I heard a long time ago. And it kind of shook me when I heard it, because I just had never thought of things from that perspective. And I realized it was incredibly true. Every human being, organism, a tree, a flower, a shark, a dog, has a survival will, a will to survive, almost against the odds. And there is nothing that something that is alive, that is living, that organism is going to do whatever it can to sustain its own life. What is the biggest organism of all? The planet. The planet is going to fight for her very survival just the way a human would. Think about that for a moment. We live upon the earth. We draw sustenance, survival upon the earth. Probably not a good idea to completely disregard what the earth needs and requires. So just think about that. Remember this: the greatest healer of all comes from the heart, the soul, and the spirit. It comes from understanding not only your needs, but the needs of others. It comes from recognizing that you are all one experience away from a very different life, be that for better or worse. So now, in March of 2020, as your global village has the opportunity to come together as one, to share information, intelligence, and support, recognize that this is also an opportunity to evaluate what you want your life, your home, your country, and your government to place as priorities. You have not been given a challenge that you are unable to rise above or learn and grow from. You have the will, the spirit, and the divine soul to move from this time to a time of elevated thoughts, words, and deeds. Remember, you may be separate, but you stand together. There are no borders because in reality you are all one. You have been blessed with the heart and the spirit to come together and create a new, a better, and a more kind and hopeful place and state of being. You are not alone. You are part of a vast network of brilliant souls who are here, there, and everywhere. We stand with you during this time of difficulty and trial. Remember this. You are having this experience now because you are more than able to heal, ascend, and create that which is more than what's here right now. You have each other, you have the divine, and you have your quest. Keep your thoughts positive. Do not descend into fear or panic. Raise your vibration with positive thoughts, words, and deeds, and very soon you will see the brilliant and amazing results you have created. This is a message for all, because in reality, all is all there is. Stay in your light. Remember your power. Stay safe and stay well. You shall not fail. So move into your future with confidence, compassion, and the sure knowledge that if you hear this message, you are part of the solution. Divine light and love surround, protect, and guide. Blessings to all. So the reason that this is going out onto both of the Soulprint channels today is because I think that it is a message for any viewer or subscriber to the Soulprint group. Because as difficult as things are politically, not only in the United States, but frankly globally now, right? I mean, you have economies coming down and crashing. You have governments that to varying degrees are very efficient or incredibly having a really hard time and really struggling to corral this, to sort of keep people safe, to figure out how to move this forward without absolutely just collapsing the planet. We all need to just take a moment and start thinking about the fact that this is not going to be a few days. This is going to go on for a bit of time. And we really need to figure out a way to do what we can. And very often, because we are separate, one of the best ways to do what we can is to do it energetically through good thoughts and through prayers and through, sending love and energy and light and hope to those who have less than others. And all of us right now have more than many. And even though that's not a lot for some of us, and for a lot of us, it's enough. And there's lots out there who don't have even that. There was a comment that showed up in my feed yesterday, and somebody posed the question, why would God let this happen? And it reminded me of something, those of you who are old enough to know or remember Ann Landers. Now, I remember seeing this, I'm paraphrasing, of course, probably when I was about 10, so a really long time ago. And somebody posed the very same question to her. And the answer was very simple. And I'm trying to remember exactly how it came together, but somebody basically said, I want to ask God why he lets this happen. Why are there people who are starving? Why are there people who are suffering? Why are these horrible things? Why are there worlds? Why this? Why that? And he was in a conversation, somebody else said to him, well, why don't you? And he said, honestly, I'm scared of the answer because I fear that he may say, why do you? Think about that for a second. It's up to us. It's up to all of us. Now, I am not trying to gloss over this, okay? There are people suffering. There are kids out there who don't have lunches, okay? There are people out there who are being laid off, who are being fired, whose hours are being reduced. There are people who literally don't know how they're going to cover the obligations, financial and otherwise, that they have coming up in the next 2-3 weeks. But this is not a time to start fighting against each other. Frankly, there's going to be enough of that out there from people who kind of don't understand that they need to look at the bigger picture. They need to look at this from 30,000 feet. And speaking of that, have any of you seen the pictures of what is going on the earth because everything has shut down and is slowing down? There is virtually no pollution over China. The waterways are becoming crystal clear. It is as if through all of the crazy that we are experiencing right now, the earth, Mother Earth, is actually finally able to take a deep breath. Because for just a short period of time, we have stopped this ongoing madness, this rush to perpetually be moving, developing, creating, spewing toxins up into the air and planting them into the ground. And it's amazing if you think about it, how really quickly things just sort of have started to correct. It's really remarkable. So while we have now had to become separate ourselves from others, let's take a moment to just think that perhaps this may have given the earth just the smallest chance to just take a step back from the headlong destruction with which we were charging. I hope that you have found this comforting. I hope you have found it insightful. I hope it perhaps has given you some food for thought. As I said, this is going to be going on both channels. So the Soulprint Intuitive channel is more politically leaning. And for those of you wondering, I will be doing a Canadian political reading, but probably not for a couple of weeks. Frankly, the Canadian response has been good. We're doing well. As the numbers continue to increase, as they're going to, we'll revisit that and take a look at it. This is, of course, is going up on the Soulprint Insights channel because that is a channel that is more geared towards sort of spiritual understanding, growth. There's a lot of meditations on there. There's a lot of really insightful information. So if you have not checked it out, please do. Many of you may find it a source of comfort. I know that those who subscribe tell me that they find it a source of comfort and insight and guidance. So I extend the invitation for all of you to check it out if you have not. I would appreciate that. I'm asking that you be cautious about your comments and ensure that you don't use certain words or phrases because YouTube is really clamping down on any word that starts with COR and ends with virus. So be careful what you say because I don't want a whole bunch of your stuff to get flagged, which I then have to look at and deal with, as opposed to really sitting back and enjoying reading all of your clever and witty comments. I love the fact that you guys are supporting each other, and when somebody's a little down, a whole bunch of people rush in to say, it's okay, you know, hang in there. That's fabulous. I mean, honestly, what more could I wish for my channels? It's brilliant. So I thank each and every one of you for your ongoing and continuing support, for all of my new subscribers, for all of my subscribers who have been there for the very, very beginning, and for all of you in between. I'm grateful and thankful for each of you. The comments, the thumbs up, the views are all brilliant because, of course, we want to get our message out and perhaps try to just calm things down a wee little bit. And I'm not saying that there aren't bad apples out there. I'm not saying that there aren't jerks in government, but I'm saying that either we look at things from a perspective, how can we fix it? Or we look at a perspective of all is lost and why bother? Okay. Stay safe. Stay separate, but know, we are all together. Take care. Be well. And stay in your light. It is what guides you. Take care. Bye-bye. See you soon.